Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're decoding the exact system scientists use to uncover the absolute best-kept secrets of the natural world. We're talking about the biological method. Now, before we dive into Class 9 Biology Chapter 2, make sure you hit that subscribe button for Zaabi Baloch Official so you never miss one of our deep dives. All right, let's get started. Okay, so here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. What is the biological method? 2. The key stages of the method. 3. Theory and scientific law. 4. The two main types of data. And 5. The splendid foundation of modern biology. Let's kick things off with Section 1. What exactly is the biological method? Let's define the basics. So, the biological method is beautifully simple, yet it's incredibly powerful. By definition, it's the scientific method through which scientists find solutions to problems concerning living organisms. Honestly, you can think of it as the ultimate diagnostic tool for biologists. Whenever there's a mystery in the natural world, maybe a new disease starts spreading, or you see some strange animal behavior, or even a sudden change in plant life, this method is the logical, structured process that scientists use to solve it. It completely removes random guessing from science and replaces it with a highly reliable system. Now that we have our definition down, let's move right into Section 2, the key stages of the method. This method isn't just one thing. It's a journey made up of 6 core stages. We have observation, hypothesis, deductions, experiment, results, and finally conclusion. Now, these aren't just random tasks you can do in any order. They form a sequential, unbroken chain where every single step feeds directly into the next one. Let's break them down. Stage 1 is observation, which is simply looking closely and carefully at a problem or event. Every great scientific discovery literally starts right here. Imagine you're in your garden and you notice that a certain group of plants is suddenly wilting while the others are perfectly fine. Well, that careful observation is exactly what kicks off the entire biological method. Next up, Stage 2 is the hypothesis. This is a possible answer, or you can call it a guess, but it's based entirely on what you just observed. Going back to our garden example, your hypothesis might be something like, hey, these plants are wilting because they are receiving way too much sunlight. It's an educated guess that is just waiting to be tested. That brings us to Stage 3, deductions. This is where you take that broad guess and break it down by drawing logical consequences from the hypothesis that can be actively tested. Basically, you're making specific if-then statements. For example, if my hypothesis is true, then moving these wilting plants into the shade should cause them to recover. This forms the perfect bridge to our next step. Stage 4 is the real action phase, the experiment. This is all about testing the accuracy and validity of the hypothesis through practical trials. You rigorously put your deductions to the test in a controlled environment. So you might move half the wilting plants to the shade and leave the other half out in the hot sun to see if your educated guess actually holds up against reality. This right here is where the real heavy lifting of science takes place. Then we hit Stage 5, which is results. Because, you can't just run an experiment and walk away. You have to collect the raw data and information obtained directly from the experiment. Did the shaded plants recover? Did the sun-exposed plants die? You meticulously record exactly what happened. The results are the unedited, totally unbiased facts generated by your testing. They don't lie, and they definitely don't guess. Finally, we arrive at Stage 6, the conclusion. This is the ultimate judgment call. You're either accepting the hypothesis if the results support it, or you're rejecting or modifying it if they don't. If the shaded plants fully recovered, boom, the data supports your hypothesis and you accept it. If they didn't, well, you reject the hypothesis, go straight back to the drawing board, and start again. It's essentially biology's built-in truth checker. All right, moving on to Section 3, theory and scientific law. What actually happens when a hypothesis survives repeated testing? Students mix these two terms up all the time, so let's get it straight. A theory is a hypothesis proven correct by repeated experiments over time. It basically explains how or why something happens. A scientific law, on the other hand, is a scientific fact that is true everywhere and always. It's an irrefutable constant of nature that states exactly what happens, no matter what. Okay, Section 4, two main types of data. Let's look at the raw materials that actually fuel these biological experiments. So, scientists record information in two main ways. First, we have qualitative data, which is information described in words, like noting the specific color, the texture, or even the smell of a leaf. Then we have quantitative data, which is information expressed in numbers and figures. This would be like measuring that a leaf grew exactly 2.5 centimeters. You really need both types to get a complete, accurate biological picture. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the splendid foundation of modern biology. Why is this entire structured process so essential? This whole process is absolutely essential because the biological method provides reliable results and it forms the foundational bedrock of all modern biology. It literally empowers scientists to step away from myths, from guesswork, and instead discover verifiable truths. If you found this breakdown helpful today, please like the video, share it with your classmates, and make sure you subscribe to Zaabi Baloch Official. Allah Hafiz. Actually, before we completely sign off, I have a final question for you to think about. If the biological method is the foundation of modern biology, what future mysteries will you solve using these 6 steps? The tools of discovery are quite literally in your hands, so keep observing, keep questioning, and whatever you do, never stop learning.